Alright. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Marky P coming at you with yet another episode of Marky Said Podcast. Yes, this is number 3. This is actually my second time recording this episode because, well, I'm trash. So forgive me if I'm a bit unenthusiastic, although probably won't be, because the topic we're getting into today, I'm very passionate about, seeing as it concerns my community, the Black community. But without ruining the episode, let's just get into it. Actually, before we do that, I have something funny to show you guys. And it's a video of this guy that I saw as I was leaving the store. Older white guy, older gentleman. And he had his mask on, but he had his mask on over his forehead. Now, forgive me for laughing if that's wrong. I don't know, but he didn't seem to be mentally ill. He didn't seem to be, on drugs. So I thought it was pretty funny. I don't know. Maybe he didn't know. But I say that to say that was hilarious to me, and that this mask shit, it's getting out of hand. People don't even wear them correctly. So what is the point? I don't know. I see people wearing the mask below their nose, on their chin, and now apparently we're wearing them on our foreheads. And I just cannot. So I inserted the video of the guy, pulling off with his mask helmet thing on. And I also shared it to my story on Instagram if you'd rather go look at it that way. Speaking of, my friend in Brooklyn replied, and she said he was protecting his third eye. I lost it. I screamed. I literally screamed. I said, whole time he woke as fuck, and I'm asleep. Maybe he's ahead of the game. I don't know. Protect your third eye out there. For real. Protect your third eye, because, I might get the Rona. If you want to see that, then just go over to YouTube and it'll be on the video there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel too. Like the video, share the video. These things help the channel grow, because even though I'm trash, I'll get better. Trust me. Okay. Now let's get into today's topic. Today we're talking about none other than the coon himself. Uncle Tom ass nigga. Terry fucking Crews. Now listen. I don't want to come off disrespectful in any way, but at the same time, I really don't care, because fuck this guy. So if you don't know, Twitter found another victim, and this time that victim was Terry Crews. But this time, I don't feel bad for the guy. I don't feel bad for him. I never really do for anyone when they get dragged, because it's usually justified in my mind. And others, sometimes maybe, I don't know. But most of the time, like right now, Jeffree Star is being dragged. Justified. Maybe I should do an episode on him. I don't know. But anyways, so while protests continued all over the nation, Terry Crews thought it a good idea to express himself on a public platform in such a way that I 100% do not agree with. But before we get into my opinion on that, let's go over the receipts, shall we? So on June 7th, Terry Crews tweets, defeating white supremacy without white people creates black supremacy. Equality is the truth. Like it or not, we are all in this together. Okay, now I wasn't having that shit, and neither was Twitter. And when I say Twitter, of course, I mean Black Twitter, in which Terry Crews, like I said, proceeded to be dragged across the platform and rightfully so, I might add. But we'll get into my opinion shortly. So of course, his tweets went viral. Literally, Terry Crews and the words, "Black Supremacy." My God, that hurts to say. It makes me want to throw up. And Terry Crews were trending all day. Unbelievable. Now this happened like 2 weeks ago, but I wanted to do an episode on it just because it made me that upset, and I'm not in a rush to be first on anything, and I really didn't see anyone else talking about it anyway. So I just thought that was unbelievable for him to say those words, "Black Supremacy." So on Tuesday, he went on a TV show called The Talk via Zoom, where he went on to defend said tweets. I'll play that for you all now.
Well, I compare that tweet to cussing in church, because what's wild is you have the message, but then if you use a cuss word, nobody's really hearing what you're saying. You know what I mean? The cuss word I used in this instance was black supremacy. And this is what I want to really, really reiterate to you and explain. My thing was, what I said was defeating white supremacy without white people could create black supremacy. And this is what I'm talking about. My thing is, in the black race, in black America, we have gatekeepers. We have people who have decided that who is going to be black and who's not. And I, simply because I have a mixed race wife, have been discounted from the conversation a lot of times by very, very militant movements, Black Power movement. I've been called all kinds of things, like an Uncle Tom, simply because I'm successful, simply because I worked my way out of Flint, Michigan. And the problem is, and this is the thing, the problem with that is that Black people have different views. You know, it's funny because when you're white, you can be Republican, Libertarian, Democrat. You can be anything, but if you're Black, you have to be one thing. Even Joe Biden said, "Hey man, you don't vote for me, you ain't even Black." Right. And so this Blackness is always judged and it's always put up against this thing. And I'm going, wait a minute, that right there it's a supremacist move. You have now put yourself above other Black people. And I'm trying to tell you, and then I got told it couldn't exist. And this is the deal. In 1994 in Rwanda, there was a genocide and it was all Black people. And there was one sector that viewed themselves as over the other. A million people died. Yes. And and you know, I was told it can't happen in America. And I'm here to tell you that's the first mistake. Anytime anybody says, "Oh, that could never happen here," that's exactly when it starts to happen. Do you regret using the term Black supremacy? You know, I can't really regret it because I really want the dialogue to come out. Maybe there's another term that might be better, where it's separatist or elitist or something like that. But the thing is that I've experienced supremacy even growing up. I've had Black people tell me that the white man is the devil. I've experienced whole organizations that have viewed themselves, because of the suffering of Black people, they have decided that now we are not equal, we're better. And I think that's a mistake. I'm trying to tell you, just the mentality, what we're trying to do, I think a lot of times with the social and economic and political issues we have right now, we're providing those kind of answers, but this is a spiritual problem. Supremacy can't really happen, but spiritually it can. In your head, you can look at yourself and you can develop a dangerous self-righteousness that could really hurt what we're trying to do right now. We have to include this white voice, this Hispanic voice, this Asian voice. We have to include it right now, because if we don't, it's going to slip into something we are really not prepared for.
So as you heard, he opens up his line of defense by restating his initial bullshit. He then goes on to add even more to the bullshit by stating that the Black community has gatekeepers and that we have kept him out of powerful black movements and labeled him an Uncle Tom, which, yes, we have. But he says it's because he's successful, and it's because he has a biracial wife. First of all, sir, Mr. Cruz, we didn't know that. Well, I didn't, anyway. I never knew you had a biracial wife, nigga. That's how much the black community does not pay attention to you. At least, again, I don't. Seriously, I'm asking all my niggas, or anyone out there, when was the last time you heard about any of us asking, checking for Terry Crews? I'll wait. Never. At least, not in the last decade. And even in the last decade. No. He was never that boy. He was never that one. He was always an extra in the background, dancing with grease on his chest, acting foolish, tap dancing for the white man. But before I start going in on him, I just want to say this. Terry Crews is fucking brainwashed. Let's call it what it is. And I want to talk about that because I can't stand the delusion. Terry Crews is delusional. This entire ideology behind a concept of white supremacy, black supremacy, is concrete proof of that. Terry Crews is a direct product of white supremacy. I'll also say this. Terry Crews is not a representative for black people. He does not speak for us. And I have to make this clear because he obviously finds it okay to get on platforms such as The Talk and say things that are very damaging to the culture. As you see, he says things that black people as a whole do not agree with because clearly I'm upset. And I can't be the only one because clearly, again, Twitter is dragging him as well, or was. Excuse me. Terry Crews, sir, musclehead, peanut head ass nigga, you are not speaking for black people when you speak of things like black supremacy. Black supremacy, nigga? What the fuck? In fact, we'd prefer you just stop assuming the responsibility of speaking for us. Just because you're a nigga in a couple of Hollywood movies, like I said, background, extra. Never the star, never the bride, always the maid. But for some reason, you think that you should be on these platforms speaking even to the black community. You're wasting your breath, nigga. You're wasting your breath. We don't look to you as a symbol of success because you're a coon. You got to where you are by tap dancing for the white people, covered in baby oil at that. It's not that we have gatekeepers, as he put it. Sometimes somebody in the black community says something that resonates with all of us. That's something this time being Terry Crews is a fucking coon. Terry Crews is an Uncle Tom, and not because of his biracial wife or quote unquote success. What really gets me though, what really puts the cherry on top for me is that he really thinks that the things that he thinks are valid. He believes that something as stupid as black supremacy can be a real thing. It's a real life concept in this nigga's mind. And that blows me. It blows my fucking mind that somebody can lack so much self-respect and self-awareness that he himself doesn't see that he's the fucking problem. People like him are who Angela Davis is speaking about when she says, there are some black people I do not want to be aligned with. Because they're so fucking brainwashed to the point that they think their success in their little realm that they're in. Because Terry Crews is no Denzel. He's no, who else is he? He's no Will Smith. He's no Forrest Whitaker. He's not that. Those are black men that we look up to as symbols of black success, male success. Tyler Perry, even though he's a little sketchy, but we're not talking about him right now. All I'm saying is the way that this man thinks is fucking wild. And the white folks are loving it. The fact that he's saying everything that they want to say, that is just giving them more power, while also putting the idea in other people's minds, maybe some even black people, that black supremacy could ever truly be a thing. That can never happen. Sorry if I'm yelling, but that can never fucking happen. Let's make that very clear. The oppressed will not seek ever to take the form or the seat of the aggressor. We know what that feels like to be the aggressor. Black people are not fighting to be better than white people. We're not fighting to be treated better than white people. We're fighting to be treated equally. Being treated equally amongst each other, there can be no supremacy, motherfucker. Supremacy means one is up and one is below. So I don't understand where the fuck you think black people fighting for equality means that we want black supremacy. You're fucking stupid. And in that case, when you say things like that, you're speaking from a white perspective. This man got on national television and said to black people to basically be careful of becoming too confident in our efforts to defeat white supremacy. Not to become too confident, at least. Not without including the white men first. Not without including the white people first in said confidence. So as not to create supremacy. But what this bonehead ass nigga doesn't understand is that that same thought comes from him being brainwashed by white supremacy. The same thought comes from him, being a product of white supremacy. This is why Terry Crews cannot think or act for himself without worrying about how white people will feel about it. It's the same reason he gets on platforms like this and says things to make sure that he caters to white people. Because Terry Crews doesn't want to make white people uncomfortable. He thinks that there's a payoff to this, that he's going to rise in some way and become a Denzel or a Will Smith or a Forrest Whitaker or something. That will never happen, nigga. You will never be that. LOL. There's no benefiting to being a coon, sir. You're only hurting yourself in doing so. In continuing to coon, you only further devalue yourself to the black community, who in fact are the very reason you are in the position that you're in now. So to say that we as black people should recognize our own strength as a community without first including white people in that strength and confidence is you literally verbatim describing white supremacy. White supremacy is a construct that says white is better than black. Like I said, one is up, one is below. And you're perpetuating that ideology when you say stupid shit like the things that you say. Why else do you think that when we as black people start to come together and do anything as a community to fight against white supremacy, it's considered a threat, or it's a problem, or in your case, Terry fucking Crews, it's black supremacy, because it contradicts the idea in their mind that white is on top and black is below, even when we are clearly not saying that. How is fighting for equality asking to be considered better? That makes no sense. It makes no sense. A great example of this would be Black Lives Matter, the movement, and how you'll have racists combating the statement with all lives matter. It's the same shit. They're saying exactly what Terry Crews is saying, that we have to include them too. I refuse to include you. Duh, all lives matter. But they're not the ones being disproportionately murdered and jailed right now. I refuse to make decisions or to judge my self-worth on the basis of how a white motherfucker feels about it. Like, are you fucking serious? You're fucking serious. Like, this nigga is serious. And that's my whole issue with this nigga. This man is speaking to the black community like we look to him for any kind of guidance, which reminds me, I was actually searching online for things that Terry Crews has even contributed to us, the black community, because when you have millions of dollars or however much money you make, you're successful, right? as you say, because I didn't want to, get on here and drag the man if he's actually made some contributions, but I couldn't find shit. So that's example number 1 of we don't need you, nigga. We don't need you. In searching, though, I did learn something very interesting. Did y'all know that this nigga is from Flint? Flint, Michigan. But I couldn't find an article anywhere reporting of any contributions he's made to his hometown of Flint, Michigan. Now my question is this, Terry. If you're so successful, Terry, then why is this the case? I don't know. I found that funny. For someone to be so loud and speaking to the black community, you've done nothing for the black community sitting in your own backyard. Now, I'm not sure if you even live there, but hey, I'm from Bakersfield. And guaranteed, when I move out of Bakersfield and I'm on to my high life, I will not forget about my city. No matter how much I despise this place, it's where I'm from. It raised me. My family's here. And for you to sit up here and talk about black supremacy and get on your high horse and discuss things as if, like I said, the black community gives a fuck what you have to say, it's beyond me, and you should be quiet. You should be quiet. This nigga gets on camera talking about we and how we need to be careful in what we're trying to do. Like, nigga, what have you done for the culture? We, on the other hand, the black community, are the ones actually doing anything to make change. We're not on camera diverting the conversation to useless nonsense and rhetoric. Black supremacy is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. We're the ones changing things. We woke the world up. We shook the globe up. And you want us to calm down. You want us to be quieter. You don't want us to disrupt the white people. So you're not included in that, Terry. You talk more about your negative criticisms towards the black community currently, like you have on live TV, more than you talk about anything else. I haven't once heard you say anything about helping to get clean water to Flint. Not once. And like I said, I fucking looked. We're doing the exact opposite, Terry, of what you're saying we should do. And that should tell you right there just to shut the fuck up. Because honestly, nigga, you just in the way. I said this in a post a couple weeks ago on Instagram. If you aren't going to say anything to progress the movement, then just be quiet. Terry Crews would be doing way more to help the movement if he were not saying anything pertaining to black people ever again. So in closing, Terry Crews is in fact a coon. I mean, how else do you explain the coonery? So I wouldn't listen to anything he has to say, especially if you're black. And I'll leave y'all with that. But don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Also, I think next week we're going to do the Tiana Taylor review. Or, you know what? I might make it like a bonus episode and drop it like Wednesday. Just because I kind of already did my review. I have my notes and things on it. But I'm listening to it a couple more times just to make sure that this is truly how I feel. But I will say this. Without ruining the review, she did that. Okay? Now, we'll get more in depth to it when that time comes. But for now, thank you guys for listening, for watching, however you did consume this content. Thank you for consuming it. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you. And I'll catch you in the next one. Marky said, out.